I'm going to go ahead and call the September 18th, 2023 meeting of the Whitefish City Council to order. Thanks everyone for attending. We're meeting both in person as well as remotely via Teams. Just for the record, Councilor Caltabiano is joining us via Teams from somewhere in Nevada, if I'm not mistaken. Regardless, we'll start with our Pledge of Allegiance. Kevin, would you mind leading us?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands, nation, and God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
No, it was Kevin. Oh, okay.
That was the worst pledge you've ever had.
We'll do better next time. We'll move on to communications from the public. Is there any public comment tonight on agenda items that are not advertised? Ed.
Hey guys, Ed, 845 Wisconsin Avenue. Just want to say the fish tank was great. You all did a really good job and helped a lot. And the debate is this next Wednesday, 6 p.m. Inside if the weather sucks, so nobody has to worry about that, you know. All right, thank you. I really enjoyed that workshop. I think Daniel did a great job too. Just my comment on that.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ed. Kevin.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for the opportunity to talk to you for just a second. A couple things coming on that I just want to make everybody aware of. I know the candidates here are aware of it. The Chamber and the Whitefish Pilot will be doing a political event in the Oktoberfest tent in between the Oktoberfest weekends. So I think it's Tuesday, October the 3rd, and 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. We're going to do about a half hour of just a mix and mingle with the candidates, let the voters get to know you a little bit more personally. Then we'll do about an hour and a half or so of questions and answers, both prepared from the folks at the Interlake and the pilot and from the audience as well. So encourage you to come out and do that. If you have your campaign signs and stuff, bring them with you and hand them out to people. We're going to try and do some voter registration and get some new voters and maybe some first-time voters to get it there and vote, not only for council races, but for the resort tax as well. So that's first. I shouldn't say that's first. It's in the middle. The other is Oktoberfest coming up starting next week. Yes, I know we still need to give you our insurance policy. I won't even go into that with you guys, but we look forward to it. It'll be our 13th Oktoberfest here in the city of Whitefish. Last year was a record breaker. We're doing some things differently this year, moving our bars outside of the main tent so that we don't destroy the grass completely in those bar areas and try to be a little bit more responsible. We're throwing some AstroTurf. I just paid $1,000 for all of the AstroTurf available in Flathead County today. So we'll be using that to help with the doorways and the entranceways and the high traffic areas so we can lay down the grass, and then for the 4 days in between we can pull it up and let Mother Nature take care of it for us, hopefully a little bit. So a lot of good things happening there. So I would encourage you all to come out and enjoy Oktoberfest and bring back the warm weather. Thank you guys.
Thanks, Kevin. Further public testimony tonight. Comments? Daniel.
You've probably seen some signs out there for the Vote Yes for Community Housing. There's an official ballot issue committee called Friends of Community Housing. Go to friendsofcommunityhousing.com if you'd like a yard sign, and really just getting folks out there to support this reallocation on the ballot in November. So Friends of Community Housing, if you'd like a yard sign.
Thanks, Daniel. Appreciate the update. Further public comments? Any board reports from the audience? Michelle, anyone online? How about the council? Move on to our consent agenda. We have you have the September 5th, 2023 regular meeting minutes closed in the packet.
I would move to approve the consent agenda.
Second. Seconded by Councilor Cornell. Further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Those opposed, like sign. Giuseppe, I assume that was in the affirmative. He's frozen in space.
Yes.
Thank you, Giuseppe. We have no public hearings scheduled for this evening, so we'll move on to Dana's manager's report. Any questions for Dana on her report? Dana, anything additional to report on this evening?
Just going to give you a little heads up. so that you have a 2-week lead time. But for the next work session, we are going to do tours of the wastewater and water treatment plant upgrade projects. And so we are going to get to use the after-school bus, which has can have 14 people. So show up at 5:15, and we're going to get out of here at 5:20. We'll get you food, though you'll have food on the bus to get to both locations. That's just to make sure we get back by 7 o'clock, because the October 2nd agenda will be a big one, as will October 18th. As you've noticed, our planning department is gone there at the Montana Association of Planners Conference. And so that's a great thing for them, and also why we have a slow meeting, because there was no planning board for this one. They were trying to make sure that since they would be gone at this meeting, there were no items that would pop up today. So with that, that's all I have for you.
Do we get a souvenir hard hat when we go to the treatment plant?
Oh, it's already done construction, but you might have some. We could find some.
You get a bottle, you get a bottle of water.
Yeah, clean water right from the source.
Bottle of water and some pizza.
Thanks, Dana. Any other questions for Dana? We'll start with counselor comments. I would like to follow up on our discussion from our work session and regarding the request from Housing Whitefish for the $200,000 seed money for the program. I'd like to provide Dana some direction. Any thoughts on the request?
Sure, we all have thoughts. I'll start if that's
Or-
okay. You were looking at me. I didn't know if you were
No, anyone.
acknowledging me or not.
Andy?
But
I think we should do it. We have the dollars, and it's not gonna solve all of the problems, and I think that we all need to understand that, everyone involved in this situation. Because I think every time something comes up, everybody throws everything else at the wall. It's like, well, yeah, what about this, and what about that, and what about this? And the reality is, I think if we haven't learned anything over the last 20 years, we're never gonna solve the whole problem with one silver bullet. It's just not gonna happen. And each little stride we make forward helps people out. And, you know, if you do the math on this, I mean, the reality is we'll help 40 to 60 households probably. That's probably where it'll end up. But that's 40 to 60 households more. Well, we've got 40 deed restricted units from McRue's, and we built 34 units over. So 30, 40, 50 units at a time, we can solve the problem. And for $200,000, and I really don't have any heartburn about money going outside of the city limits. I mean, I don't think it's gonna be very much. And I think that there will be private funding that will come in. How much that is, I don't want to tie it to private funding. I think that's wrong. I think Dana's point was really, really well made, that these programs work when cities take the lead. And I think that's us. We're the city and we have the money. So, and we've put that money aside with no potential home, just knowing we needed to do something when something came up, and this came up, and I think it's a good program. So. Yeah, I support it 100%.
Everyone on consensus with that? Sure, Rebecca, and then Steve.
I do support it, but I also feel like, because the mills come from property taxes, that we have other possibilities out there, which we talked about, impact fee reimbursement, possibly property tax reimbursement. And so I'd like staff to kind of keep those issues in mind for potential programs in the future too. But it sounds like we're going to have more than enough money to fund that this year. And the other thing, I talked a lot to the Community Foundation about how to get money for Housing Whitefish, which is our outreach and fundraising and development branch of our Whitefish Housing Authority, how to get them more stable. Because unfortunately, the CVB was targeted for the 1%. They've lost over $200,000 in collections that would have gone to paying for the executive director's salary in the future, some of that in addition to other community outreach programming. And so I'm just going to tell people in the community that the Whitefish Community Foundation can establish endowment funds for not-for-profit entities. They have 40 in existence right now. We need to have $15,000 of seed money to start one for Housing Whitefish. They wouldn't be able to draw down any money until it got to $30,000. They can only draw down 5% per year. It's actively managed by a firm out of Georgia to produce 8 to 9% per year. But to get a salary of $50,000, we would need $1 million in that endowment fund. So anybody that needs a tax credit or something that wants to contribute to establishing an endowment fund for housing Whitefish can work through the Whitefish Community Foundation to get that started. Just because it's a brand new program, and the seed money for that came from the Convention and Visitors Bureau, the Explore Whitefish people, because they wanted to seed grant writing to pay for programs. So that's one thing that the community can do to help out with that, if there's a will and a possibility of doing that. Otherwise, we'll figure out another way. But thank you, Daniel. I think it was well thought out, and I think it will succeed. And thanks for putting it together.
Thanks, Rebecca. Steve?
Thanks. Just want to say, first of all, thanks to Daniel, thanks to the board over at Housing Whitefish for getting something done here. It's about time. We have the money now. It's actually, we should all be cheering that we're having this conversation about how to spend this money. And now we have a program that is actually going to help people, or a potential program. The one thing I think that, I mean, we could wring our hands a lot about where the money goes. I think in the description, there's a sentence that says give priority to the 59937 area code. I think if there's a way to give priority to residents of Whitefish city limits first, like that could be part of the scoring rubric about where that money goes. I think that might help with some of that. But wouldn't be the only factor in the decision, but it would be a factor in the decision. So however you come up with that scoring rubric, I think that would be my only addition to that. Just something to think about. And, again, just thanks. And I'm all for spending this money. And you changed my mind about should we require some kick in from the businesses. I know I get some ideas and then I get brought back to earth. So thank you all for bringing me back down on that one.
Glad it can be helpful. Ben?
I do also want to thank you, Daniel, and your board for coming forward with this. I know from personal experience how hard it can be to draft programs like this, and there's a lot of little details. And so I just want to say I think it's very welcome that you are here, and I would like to continue to see more initiative on programs like this or other projects or other uses, activities that can help the community. So thank you. I concur with, I think, most folks here that this is a program we should definitely fund. In my opinion, I don't think it's worth getting too hung up on the 59937 issue, and I'll tell you why, is because I don't think the property owners don't benefit from this program. The property owners are going to rent it to somebody. What benefits the community is the fact that we're helping the person who is also, in theory, working at a business here in town, or in the 59937, and the only businesses that are in the 59937 for the most part are in the city or on the ski hill. And I think that the community benefit comes in the form of allowing those folks to be here, allowing the businesses to have the staffing they need to be successful, which helps the community as a whole be successful. And so I think I understand the concerns, but I think in my view, I would just let these folks sort it out, and in my opinion, I think the way they've crafted it is pretty thoughtful. But anyway, in any event, in the big picture, this is a great thing, I think, to be doing, and I hope we see more of this in the future, and I look forward, hopefully, to us funding it. And I think if you can get some more funding commitments between now and when you bring this back, I think that conversation just becomes a lot easier, and hopefully the funding commitments that are non-taxpayer will grow over time as well. And but you got to start somewhere, so this is a good start. Looking forward to seeing it follow through on. Thanks.
Thanks, Ben. Frank?
I would just concur that I agree that we need to move forward with this, and I think we can make a full commitment. I'm not interested in trading this one for, a dollar for a dollar routine. I appreciate Daniel's perspective on, and focusing on those employed within 59937, in particular in Whitefish itself. I'm not too concerned about too much money going outside, although I would like to see for your own purposes, I think we should know as we go forward in years to years exactly what that looks like. And just so we can, it can provide a guidepost for all of us, I think. So, but I appreciate it, and this is I think it's probably the best program I have seen, at least come to us with some semblance that I think we're going to be successful with it. So thank you so much.
Dana, is that enough direction for you?
Does Giuseppe have anything?
Giuseppe,
that
I'm
he'd
sorry.
like
Do
to
you
add?
have any comments?
Nothing of value to add to all what my colleagues have said, especially the fact that the 4 meals are already levied for affordability, so it's just a no-brainer. And obviously, good job to Daniel. Thank you.
Thank you, Giuseppe.
No, I think that's direction. I will work with Daniel, and what we'll do is they might make some tweaks to the program, but based on the feedback they've heard tonight, but we'll bring forward the agreement between Housing Whitefish and the city with the contribution of $200,000 for your consideration when they're ready. Hopefully December, because I'll be gone in January. So.
Or before that, hopefully.
Or before that even, if we can. So, yeah, we'll just see where we're at. But no, on my standpoint, November is absolutely doable.
Okay,
So.
great. Thanks, Dana. Daniel, thanks very much. Kevin, Ed, Katie. Anything else, Andy, this evening?
Couple of things. We had our Whitefish Lake Institute board meeting last Thursday. Just a couple of highlights out of that. So I don't know if everybody knows, but at the Institute, we monitor through the Northwest Montana Lakes Network 41 lakes. And of those 41 lakes, we took 111 samples, which are plankton samples, actually. We go drag a net around, and then all of those went in, and out of all of 111 samples, there were absolutely no AIS species detected, because plankton actually picked those up. So congrats to everyone that works hard on all of the boat inspections and everything else. That's a big thing. It's to have that many lakes within, and that basically goes from Lake Mary Ronan to the Canadian border. So we're clean, and that's awesome. And Whitefish Lake being one of those lakes. And speaking of Whitefish Lake, because our staff is out on the lake quite often, we're seeing an increasing number of lakeshore violations. I sent the mayor, I think, recently a photo of someone in Lazy Bay that installed a sand beach. Now, these are all mostly happening in the county. Obviously, we're having some that we're dealing with as a city also. But what we're seeing is basically zero enforcement from the county at this point. One of the reasons we annexed the lake to begin with was so we would take over lakeshore administration, because the county was simply not able to do that. And then when the donut went away, then so went away our lakeshore permit applications coming to the city and us monitoring what goes on in the lakeshore. So at the request of our board, and WLI would also submit a letter, I would like to see if there's any appetite for the council. If we would just send a letter to the county just to kind of alert them to the fact that we're seeing an increased number of violations. And the problem is the county's the same as we are with any kind of zoning violation for the most part. It's complaint driven, which generally is a neighbor, and neighbors don't ever want to rat their neighbors out, even though they'll call the WLI office and go, hey, my neighbor put in a sand beach and we know it's wrong. What can you do about it? So I think we could probably get Mike Kupola to go ahead and draft the letter for us. We'd circulate that, and I would like us all to sign that. If that's okay with everyone, just say, we need to, I don't want to point a finger at the county, but I think we need to draw, they probably don't even know, is my guess. And I think we just need to draw it to their attention and say, how can we do this better, because we're seeing it more and more and more. And so, anyway, that's
I'm
all I
in full
have.
support. Everyone? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Giuseppe?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything further, Andy?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Rebecca?
I actually think that's serious enough that we should ask for a meeting with them. Why don't we meet with them and just talk about this instead of sending a letter that might not have an impact? Like, it's pretty serious to erode our lake. It's our water supply. But,
I share your enthusiasm.
yeah, I mean, why can't we just ask for a meeting with the county commissioner at some point? Is that really hard to do, Jana?
Yes, it's hard to get schedules to align. That's probably the hardest part with council meetings, but I'm open to talking to the county administrator to see how we can make this happen. I think, you know,
Or at least one
I
of
could
them.
reach out to the county administrator to see if they've gotten complaints, see if they are just not enforcing or, you know, they just don't know. So you can't enforce what you don't know. We already know that with short-term rentals, you know, we don't know what's going on. It's really hard to enforce. So I don't want to say that they're intentionally doing it by any means, but I could reach out to the county administrator to see, but you're also welcome to just send a letter and request a meeting as well. I mean, we can figure out scheduling eventually somehow.
Let's start with the letter.
I would like to see us send a letter, and we can send one from WLI, and then as a suggestion in a closing, say, is there a time that our planning staff and your planning staff could meet, or the council could meet directly with the county commissioners to discuss this issue?
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Yeah, I mean, face-to-face, I agree, Rebecca, is a good thing, but we need to start something, and if we wait till we get a meeting scheduled, it may never happen.
Yeah.
So that would be my concern.
I agree, but it's been really frustrating watching the erosion of our lake. You know, it is a part of our drinking water supply, and we're responsible for it. And just even some of the subdivisions not dealing with septic leachate for decades. It's just, anyways, okay, thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca. Ben? Sure.
I wanted to tell Maria congratulations on the new docks down at Riverside Park. Wonderful. And then the new skateboard park too is really wonderful too. And thank you for keep improving things around town.
Thanks, Rebecca. Ben, anything this evening? Frank?
I spent mine, thanks.
Steve?
Nothing tonight.
Dana, anything further from staff? Giuseppe, any comments this evening before we close
No,
out?
I'm good. Thank you. No,
Thank you,
no
Giuseppe.
comment.
Fly safe. On that note, we are adjourned.
I had
Thanks.
actually one other comment. I just wanted to say to Maria and Dana, I hope you had a good first day back at school today.
We are adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, look at this.